Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero, the Dew Sweeper. You're listening to the Tour Coach Podcast, giving you insights into golf instruction at the highest level, from on the PGA Tour to our learning center at Frederica Golf Club. Sitting in here on the Tour Coach Podcast with Colt Knost. Colt, I know you're busy, lots of media obligations now. Thanks for sitting in with me here on the Tour Coach Podcast.
Tony, I'm always happy to make time for you.
Oh, that flattery gets you everywhere with me. I mean, it's broken down teaching pros. Obviously, long career as a player. Won, U.S. Amateur, Pub Links, 2 wins, I believe, on the Nationwide Tour, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And played on the PGA Tour. And now you retired from golf, really because of injury, if I'm not mistaken, right? I mean, you battled injuries a lot, especially towards the end of your career.
Yeah, my last 2 seasons, I had 2 surgeries on my left hand, which probably resulted from the way I swung the golf club. I actually learned how, through Mark Blackburn, I actually learned how to swing the golf club properly now, and I actually have no pain, which is very, very nice. But, yeah, for the most part, I mean, my career definitely ended because of my left hand and the surgeries I had on it.
What I wanted to talk to you about today is I always like, as a teacher, Colt, I teach a lot of young guys coming up. Through the years, guys that go from junior golf to college and to the tour, and obviously have some guys that have been out there. But I always like to pick brains of folks that have been out there, had success coming up through college, a lot of success as an amateur, played professional, and then when they're done, kind of pick their brain and figure out, like, hey, if you had things to do over again, like if you look back as a player, are there things that you would change about how you came up or what you did or, how you worked on your game, those types of things?
I mean, for me, I don't think I was ever going to be able to gain 40 yards. I was
Right.
one of the shortest guys out there. But I made my money and, succeeded in other ways. I was a great putter, and I was a great, long iron to hybrid player. And that's kind of what I had to be good, or else I was never going to make it on tour. And so, yeah, looking back, like maybe I got in the gym and focused more on fitness and stuff. I'm a bigger guy. But, that's easy to say now. But
Right.
at the same time, say I went and lost 30 pounds and got stronger, what happens to my golf swing? It might not,
Right.
I might struggle. I don't know. But I knew what I was doing was keeping me on tour. There's always things you wish you did differently, but I just think the game has evolved a lot in the last 10 years. And it's kind of made guys like me irrelevant, which sucks, but at the same time, it's kind of how sports work. All sports evolve over time.
Right.
Things change, which, that's great. I feel like some of the artistry has been taken out of golf, which I don't like. I said this on a podcast yesterday. I said, imagine if Corey Pavin and Justin Leonard came out right now, coming out of college. They wouldn't have a job.
Right.
The way they play golf, it was beautiful. And they were very, very successful. They're major champions. But they couldn't compete nowadays. You can't give up 100 yards to a guy and expect to beat him. It's just not possible.
But it also seems like, it used to be when you would talk about players, you'd say, oh, well, this guy doesn't hit it very far, but he's a great wedge player, great chipper, great putter. Now the guys that bomb it, they're great wedge players, chippers, and putters too. It's not like just because a guy hits it far now, he can't chip and putt.
And that's one thing I don't think Bryson gets enough credit for. All the talk about Bryson
100%.
is how far he hits it. But he's a top 10 putter on the PGA Tour. I'm like, this guy's really good at a lot of things. At Wingfoot, when he won, all that was talked about was how far he hits it, but yet he was 7th in driving distance that week. So there were 6 guys that hit it further than him that week, but he was number 2 in putting and scrambling. I'm like, he did a lot of other things that week to win, other than just hit it far.
Yeah, Andy Ogletree played in the group in front of him the first 2 rounds at Wingfoot. And so I was walking some of that and watching him where he hit it. And everybody talked about how far he hit it, which he did hit it far. I'm not saying it wasn't far. But to me, was amazed at how he pitched and wedged the ball and then lag putted on some of those greens where you'd get 50, 60 feet long run through, like how he handled those. Like, to me, that was the difference between how he played and, some of the other guys the rest of that week.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, the maximum amount of times you can hit the driver is 14, right? And you're shooting 65 to 70. So you're looking at, 50 other shots that matter. The putting is what it comes down to. And for him, he putts it unbelievable with, the shaft up the arm. He's very scientific with his putting and all that. He doesn't get near enough credit for that. The driver's a huge deal. But at the end of the day, the most amount of strokes you're going to use the driver is 14. So there's a lot of other things he does very, very well.
you touched on it. Like, it's hard for me. Like, I'll get college kids. I got a couple college kids that are really good players, play at big schools, but don't hit it very far, right? And it's harder nowadays than it used to be even 5 years ago to say, oh, well, if you just become a great chipper and a great wedge player, you can figure out. Because, like you said, it is getting to the point where if you don't hit it a certain distance, I mean, it's, you know, the game is becoming one-dimensional, and it does kind of leave out some of the, you know, you said artistry, like where you teach kids that there's a bunch of different ways to get it done and to find your strength and figure out how to beat people with what you do well. The good way the game's gone certainly has changed that, and it seems like most teachers, I'm not saying how many different, like you're focusing on getting young folks in the gym and learning how to hit it further and further. It's kind of what you have to do.
I think all the teachers nowadays, and I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like when you take a young kid and you bring him in and start teaching him, I mean, the number one goal is let's hit it far, and we'll worry about hitting it straight later. Like, it's just like let's create as much speed as we can, and then we'll figure out the rest later on. I would love to talk to college coaches and see if like recruiting has changed over the years. Like, okay, here's a guy that plays pretty good, but he doesn't hit it very far. Should we bring him on our team? Yeah. Because in my mind, you're not going to see any college kids nowadays that come out right out of school onto the Corn Ferry Tour or the PGA Tour that play the golf the way I did. But
right. No.
That doesn't. No. I mean, they all fly at 300 yards, and it's just that's how the game is now. There's no kids that work their way around the golf course anymore.
Yeah, and don't you think that, like, though, I mean, I don't want to be one of those guys that sits around saying the beer used to be colder and cheaper back when I was a kid. But you know, I mean, to me, there were some parts of that were more fun from a teaching and coaching and playing where, like, you'd go play against a guy, you'd play with 2 or 3 people, and they all had different strengths and they all had different ways to shoot it, you know, to play a great round of golf or win a golf tournament. I mean, it isn't that way as much anymore. I mean, now you go out there, you can look at the golf course and you're like, okay, well, these 10 guys, the way they're hitting it and how they do it, I mean, they're most likely they're going to have a chance to win the golf tournament. It's not that hard to me anymore to pick 5 or 6 guys each week and have a real good chance of them being up there in the tour event.
I totally agree with you. I'm a huge golf fan. I watch every single tournament. If I'm not working it, I still watch every single golf tournament. And I'm the same way. I can tell you, going into this week at Riviera, there's not going to be a short hitter that wins that golf tournament. It's just not going to happen. I mean, every single year, you get Dustin Johnson, you get Bubba Watson, J.B. Holmes, Keegan Bradley, all these bombers up on that leaderboard every single year. And there's certain golf courses that are like that. Now, there's a handful of golf tournaments every year that the short guy compete on. You know, you got your Harbor Towns, you got your Colonial. But you go to, like, I remember I think I was 50th on the FedEx Cup in 2016 heading into the playoffs. Okay. And the playoff events were Bethpage Black, then TPC Boston, and Crooked Stick. Like, you couldn't have more bombers golf courses. And Andy Pasner, who is very high up on the PGA Tour, looked at me and started laughing and goes, yeah, it's been a good year for you. And I went miscut, and finished 72 on the points list, and didn't even make it to Crooked Stick. But it was like, I mean, there's no possible way a guy that plays golf the way I do can compete at Bethpage Black. You just can't.
Yeah, and that's why I think from an instruction, and I know Mark does a lot of this as well, is like with these young players, you get them in the gym and with people that are really good at what they do, and you know, if they're really serious about doing it nowadays, they have to address that early and learn how to hit it far early, or there's just such a low ceiling on what they can do past a certain point.
Yeah, but like Tony, I'd be interested to hear your thought. Like for me, you know, I'm 5'8". I'm obviously a bigger guy. Like I'm never going to gain 40 yards no matter what I do. So like, which is unfortunate because I'm very, very good at a lot of things in the game of golf. I just am not good at hitting it far. So that's why I feel like it kind of sucks because there's going to be a lot of kids growing up that are very, very talented around the greens and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter because they can't fly the ball 300 yards. And I feel like they don't have the opportunity to succeed on the PGA Tour with the way things have changed over the years.
I teach a kid, one in particular, really good player, college player. I mean, he literally chips it and putts it as good as most of the tour players I teach. Mm-hmm. You know, and, you know, he is getting stronger and all that stuff. But, I mean, like, to say he's going to hit it 305, it isn't going to happen, right? Yeah. And that, to me, is sad. Like, because, here's a guy that loves the game, too. And, I mean, has a great personality. I mean, like, we also need people that are, you know, that love the game and aren't just robots, you know, coming along, too. I mean, we don't need just everybody to be the same. I don't know that that's good for the long-term golf either for the growth of the game is if everybody just can hit it 350 and everybody looks the same and hits it the same.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, at some point, I mean, if it's going to be everybody hits at 350, I mean, why even have a maintenance crew to mow the fairways? Just make it all rough and let's just let it go. I mean, it's not going to matter. But it is, like, it's sad for guys like that because there is other ways to play the game and be very, very successful. But to get on the PGA Tour, you know, you got to go through the Korn Ferry Tour now. And that's even more of a bomber's paradise, in my opinion, than the PGA Tour. I mean, you just go out there and smash it. There's no rough, and you just chip it up on the greens, and you make a lot of money and do that, and you get out on the PGA Tour. It's just changed so much. And
yeah, I think it's way easier. Like, I'll use a guy I teach, like Robbie Shelton isn't the longest guy, right? But he hits it far enough. But, like, it was, in my opinion, it was harder for him to get off the Korn Ferry Tour than it was to stay on the PGA Tour because the golf courses are harder and he hits it far enough. But where it's no rough, wide open, and you can just bomb at 350, a guy like that he won a couple times, obviously. But, like, it takes, I mean, to me, it's harder for that guy to get to the tour than it is to stay on the tour at times.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I'm playing out there. I mean, you know, the Korn Ferry Tour is a great tour. But the golf courses are nothing like they are on the PGA Tour. I mean, like you said, they're wide open. They don't really care about, I mean, they care about having a Korn Ferry Tour event, but they don't get it ready to make it very difficult or anything like that. I mean, there's no rough or anything. So you just send it down there. It's a wedge and a putter contest. I mean, if you're back there playing from 280, which I don't even think 280 is even relevant nowadays. Like you said, Robbie Shelton's not long. I'm guessing he probably still averages 290.
Yeah, I mean, he still hits it over 3, right? Or at
okay, so he hits it over 300 yards. I mean, that's what's nuts. I think when I came on tour in 2009, I think there was 21 guys that averaged over 300. And now it's, God, you probably know the number. I mean, it's probably over 80.
Yeah, it's over 300.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's crazy.
I think the average ball speed when I came on tour, and this is 13 years ago. The average ball speed was probably like 164, 165, and now it's 175.
Crazy. It's crazy, and they keep going up.
Oh, yeah, and it's going to continue. It ain't going to stop.
Lucas Glover and I were talking about this one day, and he was saying, you know, when he came out on tour, he was one of the longer guys, right? You know, and always been a good driver of the golf ball. Well, like now he's middle of the pack, and he hits it further than he did when he came out. Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, like one thing, like when I talk to guys now when I go out and do TV and stuff, like I think it's a compliment, but at the same time, they're like, it's surprising how long you made it out here.
Yeah,
I'm just like, well,
it is a compliment.
Thank you, I think. Yeah, no, it is. But I mean, I just always looked at it as a challenge and something I embraced. Like I knew what I was good at, and I knew there were certain weeks I was never going to win Torrey Pines, but I could play well there every week. Like it's just one of those places where I embrace hitting hybrids and long irons and stuff like that. That's part of my game. I mean, and I think I have a better chance there than going to a place that's an absolute wedge fest and guys are going to drive it up there 50 yards from the green on every hole.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, I love playing more than anything. But at the same time, I knew my time had come and passed, and there were just certain golf courses I couldn't compete on anymore. And it is kind of sad because, like, places like TPC Scottsdale, which I love, these guys, I mean, and you watch it on TV, they totally disregard the rough. They don't care, which it just shocked me because I always thought hitting it straight was a skill. And now it's like, you know what? I'm going to hit it up there as far as I can, and I can hit it close from 110 yards out of the rough and stop it because the greens aren't crazy firm. And I'm going to beat the guy that's playing from 170 in the fairway nonstop, which I agree with. But I just hate that hitting it in that fairway, which is supposed to be a reward, doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, you know, when you take the majors and they do grow, everybody talks about, like, making these golf courses longer and longer. To me, that does nothing because the long guy still has a huge advantage. The guy hits at 350.
I use two examples when everybody talks about the length, okay? We had the U.S. Open at Erin Hills, which was supposed to be so brutal, so long, 7,700 yards. Brooks Koepka shoots 18 under par because the fairways were 50 yards wide. It didn't matter, okay? And then you go to Medina for a FedEx Cup playoff event, which, once again, everybody thought was going to be so brutal, so hard. Justin Thomas shot 25 under par.
Yeah.
And then the week following the U.S. Open at Erin Hills was Travelers. That's 6,800 yards and 12 under par wins there.
Right.
Because they had rough, greens were bouncy. That's the only way you can contain these guys is with firmness. And I think you would probably agree. If they lose control once the ball hits the ground, they tend to struggle.
Correct.
If there's some rough that penalizes, like if you can make And now I know that every week you can't make the greens firm. I mean, Mother Nature, you can't control it.
For sure.
But if you can get the greens to bounce, it totally changes everything for these guys. You look at, what was the place they had BMW at last year? Olympia Fields.
Right.
In Illinois. 4 under par. John Rahm and Dustin Johnson are in a playoff. Because the place was concrete.
Correct.
And I love seeing that. Because you actually have to think your way around the golf course. And you're like, okay, we got 160. Well, a lot of places it's 160. Okay, perfect. We're flying at 160. There it's like, okay, we got to fly at 151, bounce, and, you know, long's no good, short's no good. We got to think our way around, which is something that doesn't happen all the time on the PGA Tour, and that's how you challenge that. I mean, a place like Harbor Town, no matter, you can't make it a yard longer. It's stretched out as possibly as it can, and it still gives players hell every single year.
Yeah. And, you know, like, to me, it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Like, you know, I mean,
I agree with you.
Right? Like, but yet but they keep going to longer and longer and longer. And like, that to me, doesn't solve the equation at all. Whereas like, to me, it's so obvious, especially when you watch some of the majors and you look at like, well, when they get it firm and really baked out, and it doesn't even, if you get it real firm, to me, you don't even have to have rough that's crazy long to where they got to hack it out. They're still going to struggle.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you look at all the, like, when's the last time a new golf course was built that resembles a Harbor Town?
I can't think of one.
Yeah, exactly. There's not, and I'm like, look at this place. This place is special. Like, it's so different than anything we play on the PGA Tour. And I think that's why, not only is it the week after the Masters, but it draws such a great field because it's so different. And it's so much fun for guys to play. Like, it's not about hitting the fairway at Harbor Town. It's about hitting the right part of the fairway. Like, you can't just blow it up there and you're like, oh, cool, I hit another fairway. But now there's a tree overhanging and I got to hook something or fade something around it. Like, I just love when you make players think. Like, I just think it's something that's been taken out of the game. And I feel like it's unfortunate because there's a guy, like I said, I brought up Justin Leonard earlier. Like, no one managed their game and thought their way around the golf course better than he did.
Right.
And I mean, here's a guy who probably is going to be a Hall of Famer, I would imagine, at one point. I mean, he's won a Players, a major championship, and won how many ever times. And if he was in today's game, he would be irrelevant. He'd be a guy trying to fight to keep his card every year. Yeah. And he was a top 10 player in the world in the 90s.
Shows you how much the game's changed.
Exactly.
So you were around a long time. That doesn't mean you're old. I mean, but obviously, and you ended up, a lot of work, still work with Mark. How have you seen it as a guy that tried to, you know, as you were out there and you're working and you're always trying to get better, how has the instruction changed from your eyes over the years that you've played the game? I always like to ask guys that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know, I grew up working with Randy Smith, who's one of the all-time greats. And
legend.
He's the old school guy. You know, he was never any technology, never any camera or anything like that. It was just, you know, he was a guy that, you know, the shot created the golf swing compared to let's try to swing 2 degrees out, 4 degrees up, stuff like that. It was whenever you were struggling with like Randy Smith, it was, okay, let's go out there and work the golf ball and just sort it out. Now it's like you get on all this 3D motion, TrackMan, all this, which is awesome stuff. It's really, really cool. And I think, you know, when I started golf late. I was 13 years old. But, I mean, that was 1998. Back then it was, you know, we were all about making a square face, all that. It was just all about hitting it straight. Now, you see these guys like Dustin Johnson got criticized when he came out about having such a shut face and all this. And I think that's the future, in my opinion. Yeah. You might disagree, but like you look at guys like Victor Hovland and stuff like that. Like, I want a bowed left wrist, I want the club face shut, and I want to rotate my body as hard as possible because the club face is so much more stable. And under pressure, I think that's the way to play golf.
I agree 100% with you. I think that when you look at the best players out there, to me, the guys that we put this up. There's going to be a gazillion people on the internet point out a bunch of exceptions, but you know, like you look at really good players. To me, I mean, their club face is super stable going through the ball, you know, and they have the ability to create, being able to really, you know, use their pivot and use their body to create that. And then they're able to deliver that club with not a lot of motion going through there. And I think they hit it harder and it doesn't really curve and it just kind of goes wherever the hell they're pointing at the time.
Yeah. You look at guys like two of the greatest to ever play the game, Phil Mickelson and VJ Singh. You know, you break down their swing in slow motion. You almost see, you know, their bottom hand come off the club after impact because they're using so much hands. And nowadays, you don't see that. And, like, in my opinion, I think one of the best ball strikers on the PGA Tour is Victor Hovland.
I agree.
Young kid. And you look at that club face through impact, it doesn't move. Mm-hmm. It is so stable. It is unbelievable. And that's why he might not be a Hall of Famer or win 100 times, but I tell you this, he ain't never going to lose that PGA Tour card. He's going to be a factor every year because nothing can go wrong.
Don't you think that's a recipe to make a load of money on the PGA Tour?
It is. This is a guy, he sucks at chipping, he admits it, but it doesn't matter because he hits it so damn good. He might miss a couple cuts here and there, but for the most part, this guy is going to be just an absolute ATM because of the way he swings the golf club. And when I first started, I mean, the bowed left wrist was kind of like frowned upon. Like, right. That wasn't something you were in. It was more of a cup wrist and, a square club face. And now it's like, okay, these young kids, let's bow the shit out of that left wrist, get the club face shut, and you just use your body to square the face.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just how it is.
No question. I think one of the real testaments to teachers, too, is like you take a guy like Randy Smith. And he's a legend. And you look at how he's been able to still teach players that are good through the ages. Like, he's got players out there now that are really good, right? I mean, I think that's a testament to how great a teacher he is because I think on the teaching side, just like it's hard as a player to evolve and to adapt, I mean, sometimes it's hard as a teacher to say, hey, maybe we need to do a little more of this tech, or maybe we need to, Randy's figured out he's got to use some tech because all the kids know how to use that stuff,
For sure. And I think there's some teachers that if you took the technology away, they wouldn't know what the hell they're talking about.
1,000%.
And that's one thing I think that makes Randy so great. I mean, he's got Scotty Scheffler out there on tour. He's got Ryan Palmer out there on tour. And I said, Jordan Spieth's starting to play better golf now. But Jordan's a good buddy of mine, and I've said it to him before. And I think Cameron McCormick's a great teacher. But when things are going wrong, maybe you go just spend a day with someone else like he did with Butch Harmon.
Yeah.
But I thought Randy Smith would be perfect for Jordan Spieth because, it has a little bit of an unorthodox swing, the chicken wing and all this. But Randy could just get all those technical thoughts out.
Yeah.
I was like, just go spend a day with Randy on the range. No one will know. He's right there in Dallas. And just get some feel back. Get some of the artistry back in your game because that's what made Jordan Spieth great. I thought when he was struggling, it would be a perfect fit. Now he's back to playing good golf, which is very, very nice to see. But
how good is that to see? And it back-to-back weeks, so it wasn't just like it was a pop-up. He was in contention. It was back-to-back weeks, and everything seems to be pointing that he's back to playing his type of golf.
It is, and I say it all the time. I'm like, Jordan Spieth is good for the game of golf. There's no doubt about that. I mean, everyone loves him. I mean, it was very, very obvious to me at Phoenix, at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I went out there on Sunday to support him. He tees off. They have 5,000 fans, and everybody was following that last group. And there was no secret who everyone was rooting for.
Oh,
it was a star-studded field, but they were rooting for Jordan Spieth. And I think, even though there was no fans at Pebble, I think it was kind of the same way at Pebble Beach. I mean, everyone wants to see this kid succeed. Mm-hmm. And, he gets beat up in the media and his game gets picked apart and all this. He could stop right now, Tony, and he's a Hall of Famer.
You're exactly right, yeah.
I mean, and he's 27 years old. I'm like, we got to give this kid a little bit of a break. I mean, he was a Hall of Famer at 24. I mean, he won 3 major championships and 11 times on the PGA Tour. Like, the kid's done unbelievable things, and then they just absolutely just tear him apart in the media, which I feel like is kind of unfair. I mean, can you imagine being 24 years old and having the world at your fingertips and being one of the most famous people on the planet? Like, it would probably be kind of hard to handle.
I'm the same way with there's obviously some really good with social media, and I can't say that some of it doesn't help my business. But like you sit there and you read some of the things that people say about, there's tons of players and their teachers and their coaches, and you're like, sometimes after like 6 glasses of wine, I just want to go on and go dude, you've never taught anybody that's won a junior club championship. Why the hell are you going to sit there and criticize something a tour player and his teacher have done? I mean, you didn't sit in on the lesson. You don't know what the hell's going on. It's a joke. And sorry, I got on my soapbox a little bit. That thing pisses me off on social media, though.
Let me tell you this one. This is great. This happened Sunday night. So I'm flying home from Pebble Beach, and Kevin Streelman is on the same flight as me. And we're sitting in a baggage claim, and this guy comes up to us. He's like, hey, guys, how's it going? Love watching all this. He goes, what's wrong with Jordan Spieth? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I just don't think he's a closer. I don't think he has it in him. And I go, sir, I have no idea who you are, but the man's won 3 major championships and 11 times on the PGA Tour. I go, he's a Hall of Famer. He's 27 years old. What do you mean he can't close?
Yeah.
I'm like, he's won more majors than Dustin Johnson has. What do you mean he's not at close? And I just laugh at this. I'm like, you didn't say this 4 years ago when he was winning everything in sight. But now all of a sudden he has 2 54-hole leads after being at rock bottom with his golf game, and he doesn't happen to close them out, and now he can't close. Like, it blew. I just started laughing. I was like, sir, you have no idea what you're talking about. Go get your bag and go home.
Yeah, but, and that is one of and I have to be careful. Like, sometimes you just get fired up because, like, if you're out there, a lot of the folks, right? And you pull for people. I mean, I think that's one thing people don't realize. Like, if one of Mark's guys wins a tournament, I mean, I'm always trying to be one of the, I text, man, congratulations, great. I think if you're out there, you know how hard people work at trying to do it. And then you see, these jerk-offs, the worst to me are the teachers that have never taught anybody. But then you get the public that's just like, and they're just hammering guys left and right. And, it's like, come on, you can't break 85. They don't have any clue how hard it is out there. It's so hard.
It is ridiculous. And I love / hate it. I love sitting around people like when a golf tournament's on TV and just hearing the comments. Because like there was no fans allowed at Pebble Beach. So I finished up my work for Golf Channel and I went and sat at the tap room with Jay Danzy, who is Jordan's agent, and his wife Annie. And we're sitting there watching, and they have no idea who's sitting in front of them. And just the comments from the peanut gallery about Jordan Spieth's golf game, what he needs to do to get back. And I'm like, you guys have no clue what you're talking about.
Correct.
To me, it's partially very, very entertaining because at some point I want to turn around and be like, let me tell you what's really going on. Because here's Jordan Spieth, who, arguably works as hard as anyone. You can't give him enough credit for how he handled the bad times. He never said anything wrong. He never whined. He never moaned. Nothing. He handled it like a true professional. I think that's why everybody loves Jordan. And
I think the other thing, too, that's cool is he never made excuses, and which I respect because, like, it's got to be easy to, like, say you were hurt or, you're doing whatever. But, like, man, to go through all that, to never make an excuse and to just say, hey, it's hard and I'm keeping working. A lot of respect.
How can you not respect Jordan Spieth? And, you look at what happened at the 2016 Masters. He blew it. There's no doubt about it. He gave that tournament to Danny Willett. But you look comes back and he wins the 2017 Open Championship. Look at John Vanderbilt. Winning a major is very, very hard. He blew a major championship. You never heard of him again. No. And that's one thing you got to give Jordan Spieth credit is he bounced back. And, he's been through some tough times. But, he's still 27 years old. Like, he's still got a huge future ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. Colt, this has been awesome. Man, I appreciate you sitting in. Fun to do. And also, the Golf Subpar podcast, the stuff you're doing. And I know you were a great player and enjoyed your time out. You're awesome on the media side and so good for golf, in my opinion. Not that my opinion matters, but it's awesome to watch.
Tony, thank you so much, man. I'm having a blast with the podcast. I just starting to find my way into TV, and I'm having a blast. I'm so happy to be out there and still pick the brains of guys like you and all the players out there. I'm very, very lucky to have something to do after golf, and I couldn't be happier with what's going on right now.
Awesome stuff. We'll keep it up, and I look forward to seeing you out there, and we'll hopefully one of these times be able to coerce you into having a beer.
Beers. It's plural.
Beers. Count on it. Count on it.
Yeah, I would love to.
Safe, buddy, and thanks for sitting in with me.
You got it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Tour Coach with Tony Ruggiero. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are listening to this podcast. You can stay up to date because we have weekly episodes coming your way with fascinating people in the world of golf instruction at the highest level. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. If you want to learn more about Tony, head over to dosweepersgolf.com to get all the details on what he's up to. Maybe you want to see him, grab a lesson, or go to one of his camps, pick up his book, Lessons from the Legends. You can do that there. If you want to see Tony in action with some videos and other content, head over to golfsciencelab.com/Tony to get more info there. This episode was powered by the Golf Science Lab and was edited, mixed, and produced by Just Hit Publish Productions.
We go into year 2 of the Tour Coach. It wouldn't be possible without the support of all our sponsors. And I've had some great ones. And one of the things that I'm most proud of in my career and in my business is the fact that all of my relationships here and all these sponsorships have been long withstanding relationships, haven't jumped from sponsor to sponsor and manufacturer to manufacturer. And I've always prided ourselves in special relationships and when people work together, support each other, and we've all put out great products for the benefits of everybody else. So I want to give a special thanks to these folks that have been with me for such a long time. And that would be the folks at Srixon, Cleveland Golf, and Zexio. Couldn't ask for a better manufacturer to be aligned with. And not only do they put out great product and great support, but they're first-class people and they believe in what we're doing here on the Tour Coach and with the Dew Sweepers, and also Vineyard Vines. Ian, Shep, TJ, and all the folks at Vineyard Vines. It's hard to keep me looking good, but they do a fantastic job. And they're like family. They support everything on the Dew Sweepers, and we're so proud to be affiliated with and support the folks at Vineyard Vines. So if you're out there, you're listening to the Tour Coach, please support our sponsors, Srixon, Cleveland Golf, Zexio, as well as Vineyard Vines, and keep listening and keep enjoying hanging out with us here on the Tour Coach.